The real story behind the pitch, we pitched this with the Dreadnought. We pitched it with the Civil War. We pitched everything except the terrain deformation.
Fracture's been in development for 2 years, and to this day it's just like a testament to Fracture that I still see, people doing crazy stuff in my levels that I've never seen before.
At Day One Studios, we try to really strive to give the game player a different experience. And if you go back to some of our DNA with Mechasalt and blowing up buildings and things like that, punching holes in the buildings and really empowering the player, we wanted to take that to the next level, and we started kicking around this idea of really being able to deform the terrain and perhaps tunnel and things like that. And the engineers were really against doing some of that because it was pretty challenging. We really thought that we'd give the game player a very unique experience. And so we kind of marshaled that effort forward, and LucasArts, it was literally one pitch, and LucasArts picked it up. It was very warmly received. So it was like, yeah, this looks great, and it got all the way up to their CEO, who at the time was Jim Ward, and Jim gave some pushback. This doesn't feel like it's got enough of newness to it in terms of the technology and the gameplay. And I was actually on vacation at the time, and I heard back that they had kind of kicked it back, and I said, put the terrain deformation in, don't tell anybody, just send it back to LucasArts with the terrain deformation. And it was like instant. They certainly did focus test it, they did all their homework, but it was received very, very well.
A lot of what I've done in the past, and what typical level design is, I think, is kind of setting up a scenario where it's very kind of, I don't want to say linear, but cut and dry to the player. Do this, this is success, get this, now move on to this next objective. And we do have that kind of action-oriented stuff. We got a lot of really cool action kind of gameplay where the player can just kick ass and do that kind of stuff, but the deformation means the player can come back to us and say, I'm going to do it this way.
When somebody accidentally deformed the ground right from underneath the player, it actually threw the player up in the air. All of a sudden you had a new way to, traverse around and get up on places quickly. Pounding away on it, it was just something that came up. But now we made it into a feature where you just double tap the A button, the player automatically shoots the ground underneath the terrain underneath them, and then he just bounces up. And in multiplayer, it's absolutely like nuts and fun. People were just raising terrain underneath the AI and crushing them up against the ceiling, something we just never predicted. Or it's just stuff like that, and being able to find areas that were like, whoa, the guy's never supposed to get up there. But they can because of the terrain deformation.
And that makes level design really challenging because they're designing a level right back at you. There's a point where you get essentially a lock in the key, that reward required for progression. You get a crate that has the spike grenades, which you need to use to open a door, essentially, to get to the next part of the game. There was a point in development where that ammo giving device was a Havoc object, and the testers actually got that, used deformation to roll it all the way to the door, open the door, used deformation to push it in, and then destroyed the spike. And then, you're in a soft lock situation. You threw the key into the car and locked the door. And then we kind of looked at each other and we saw it, and we're like, okay, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, that's the kind of stuff that, you normally don't have to deal with.